Is salary secrecy costing your business top talent? This week we're joined by Nicole Consterdine, Recruitment Consultant from People to People, to discuss how pay clarity is shaping candidate behaviour in 2026. With recent research showing that 60% of workers will not apply for a job if a salary range is missing, yet only 21% of employers publish salary ranges on all job ads, expectations around transparency are shifting quickly. So what does salary transparency really mean for attraction, trust, and candidate engagement? Also, are you looking to hire quality talent fast? We have 3 top candidates that are ready to work to fill in the gap for your business needs now. Hi everyone, my name is Liz Punshon. I'm the Managing Director of People to People Recruitment in Victoria. Welcome to our Frog Recruitment Market Update for the week. Pay clarity is no longer a nice to have. It's becoming one of the first filters candidates use in deciding whether a role is worth their time. Recent research shows that 60% of workers will not apply for a job if the salary range is missing, yet only 21% of employers publish salary ranges on all job ads. That gap points to growing disconnect between what candidates expect and what employers are still willing to share. As transparency becomes a bigger part of trust, attraction, and candidate engagement, businesses that leave these key details unclear may be losing strong top talent before hiring processes even begin. So to discuss this further, we're joined today by Nicole Consterdine, who is a recruitment consultant at People to People. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So firstly, 60% of workers won't apply without a salary range, but only 21% of employers include one on every job ad. So why is there such a big disconnect between what candidates expect and what employers provide?
Yeah, good question. I think the disconnect comes down to the fact that candidate expectations have evolved, but employer behaviour hasn't fully caught up. So we're seeing a really active market at the moment where the application volumes are high, but the quality and alignment isn't always there. So candidates are looking for ways to quickly assess roles, and salary is obviously one of the clearest signals. As you mentioned earlier, 60% of candidates won't apply if there's no salary listed. So for candidates, it's already a non-negotiable. But from the employer side, a lot are still hiring in the way that they used to. So keeping salary open or flexible, or leaving it for later discussions. So what you end up with is a mismatch. So candidates are looking for that clarity upfront, and employers are still holding back on the information. And in a busy market, that means that the gap becomes much more noticeable.
Yeah, interesting. So why is salary transparency becoming such a major factor in how candidates decide whether to apply for a role?
Yeah, I actually don't think it's because the candidates are being more selective. If anything, it's that the market is becoming competitive, and we're seeing a high volume of applications, especially in particular roles at the moment. So application volumes have increased by 6%, but at the same time, 27% of employees are saying that application relevancy is a key challenge. So there's a lot of activity, but not always a lot of strong alignment. And where the salary transparency becomes really important is around the clarity and efficiency for both sides. So from a candidate's perspective, if you're applying for multiple roles, often at scale, salary can help them quickly understand whether the role is even in the right range. So not necessarily, as we said, about them being overly selective, but about making quick, practical decisions in a crowded process. And then from the employer's perspective, when there's no salary listed, you'll tend to get that higher volume of applications, but a much lower level of alignment, and that slows everything down. So you'll end up with candidates who are either too senior or too junior, or just have completely different expectations. And that salary transparency can just help tighten the funnel. So it will give candidates a clearer sense of the level of the role, and that helps employers attract people who are more realistically aligned. So I'd say it's become a major factor, but not because candidates are being more demanding, but more about both sides needing to be more efficient, better alignment, and clear expectations upfront.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely. And so, if candidates clearly value pay transparency, why do you think some employers are still reluctant to include salary ranges? And are there reasons behind that hesitation that job seekers may not always see?
Yeah, honestly, I think most of the reasons are internal, not external. So thinking things like your internal equity risk. So if you're advertising a certain salary, existing employees of that business would potentially see that. Also flexibility. So employers will want the room to move depending on the candidates they're being presented with as well. There is some concerns around candidate anchoring. So if the range is advertised, candidates might automatically pitch themselves at the top, which can make negotiations more difficult down the line. And there's a genuine concern, I guess, around locking themselves in commercially, that once the number is out there, it's hard to walk it back. So I don't think it's necessarily a resistant to transparency. It's more that employers are trying to balance the transparency with that internal risk, which isn't always a straightforward process.
Yes, I agree with that for sure. So, and what are employers risking when they leave salary information out of the job ad, especially when strong candidates may already have other opportunities in front of them?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest risk at the moment isn't necessarily the volume. You'll still get applications. However, we do know that job ads that have the salary ranges on there can receive up to 94% more applications. So it is a huge difference that's in reach. But the issue, as I mentioned before, is more around that alignment and efficiency. So what I'm seeing and what the market data reflects is that we're getting higher application volumes and longer recruitment processes. So global data shows that time to hire has increased for 60% of companies. When the salary isn't included, that's just amplifying the problem. So candidates will apply without fully understanding the level. Employers need to review more CVs, but with lower hit rates. Candidates may assume the salary is below market and also opt out. And then the processes will end up taking longer and good candidates can disengage along the way. So the risk isn't in just missing the talent, but it's also creating a slower, less efficient hiring process, which can still cost you those strong candidates as well.
Yeah, so true. And in 2026, do you think salary transparency is becoming a genuine competitive advantage for employers rather than just a candidate preference?
Yes, definitely. I'd think it's become more of a process advantage than just that attraction tool. So, as we said, in the current market, there's a lot more activity, high application volumes, and that misalignment and slower hiring process. So if anything, it will actually help you move more efficiently, which is the real advantage. So where salary transparency comes in, that can help remove the friction early. So candidates will know where they stand from the outset. You'll get better alignment earlier in the process and avoid losing time due to those mismatched expectations. I specialize in public sector recruitment, so salaries have to be advertised, and I think that actually works in their favour. It sets the expectations and creates that transparency early. And anything that can improve that alignment from upfront, like clear salary bands, can make a huge difference in how quickly that recruitment process and efficiently that process is running as well. We're actually seeing that again really clearly in the data. So across all industries, the impact of hiring speed is increasing. So in 2024 to 25, 42% of hiring managers had reported losing candidates due to hiring speed, which from 25 to 26 has rose to 64%. Interestingly, though, in the public sector, that number has come down. So where in 2024 to 25, it was up at 81%, it's come down to 62%. So now under the other industries. So in 2026, yes, it's absolutely a competitive advantage, not just about attracting candidates, although data clearly shows it does that, but it's also about keeping them engaged and moving them efficiently through the process. And transparency plays a key role in making that happen.
Such good points, Nicole. Gives both job seekers and hiring managers really good insights as to what the effect is and the reasoning behind not including salaries, but the positive impact, of course, if you are in a position where you can be more clear and transparent. So thank you so much for your insights today, Nicole. Really appreciate it. Well, that's it for us this week. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you are looking to grow your career or build your teams, myself or one of the team would love to assist. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us on our website, or also our direct line that you can see on our screen now. But thank you again, and look forward to seeing you next time.